Fans have waited 5 years, can you believe it, for the second season of this family-friendly romance. Those so-called hopefuls are finally being rewarded. We have the 2 stars next on Brio TV, the podcast. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me. My name's Bill Brio. I'm your host for this podcast. And today's conversation is with 2 of the stars of the series When Hope Calls, Cindy Busby and Christopher Russell. New episodes of this spinoff from When Calls the Heart have not been seen in 5 years. It comes back with a revamped cast and on a different network in the U.S., migrating from Hallmark to Great American Family. In Canada, it's back on Super Channel, one of our sponsors here on their Heart and Home platform. So why the long wait? Well, some key network executives splintered away from Hallmark in 2019 and joined and helped form Great American Family. And so sorting out some of the intellectual property has taken a few years. As season 2 begins, viewers will say goodbye to the 2 orphan sisters at the heart of the story. One was played by Morgan Cohen, now seen on Sullivan's Crossing. Gone too is the town mountie, who's been swapped out for another mountie. So, yeah, it's been a pretty drastic reboot. Basically, one core romantic storyline has been replaced by another. You still get a mountie and a lady who runs an orphanage, except now they're being played by Toronto native Christopher Russell, who fans will know from several holiday films such as 2024's Christmas, Love, and Fudge. And a lot of episodic television appearances. The new lady is Cindy Busby, a Montrealer with many credits on both sides of the border, including a long run on CBC's Heartland and 4 unwrapping Christmas movies. The setting, however, remains the same. It's still set in 1916, and the series is shot in the quaint town of Powassan, Ontario, which is up near North Bay. There are several familiar faces in the rest of the cast, including Wendy Crewson as a wagon-riding lady rancher and Neil Crone adding laughs as the town's shifty innkeeper. Here they all are then, Cindy Busby and Christopher Russell. Been waiting so long for When Hope Calls to return, I've grown a beard. That's how long it's taken.
Get off.
Congratulations on the return of the show. It's an amazing story. I'm quite intrigued by it, and congratulations to both of you for starring in it. So let me just make sure I got these things clicked up right here. Okay. Let people know right away it's coming on April 6th on Great American Family, as well as on Super Channel Heart and Home in Canada, where it'll join When Calls the Heart, just renewed for a 13th season. That's pretty good news, huh?
Yeah.
I think about that. Yeah, it's awesome.
Because, if it runs another 13, they're going to need this series, right, to accompany it the whole time, I think.
I mean, we're hoping to get to that many. That would be amazing.
would be pretty cool. So walk me through the history of this show, if you wouldn't mind. And we'll just tell folks, Cindy, you're playing Nora, of course, who we meet at the first episode of the second season. Do I have that correct?
The first episode of the second season, yes.
Okay. And you're a lawyer. You've come to town, and the story is changing. Christopher, you're the new mountie, fearless Fletcher.
Yeah.
I love that nickname. You're jumping over the railing to save a young child in the road from an antique car.
All in a day's work.
And so it starts with a lot of action and fun. But, just explain it to me that the series started quite a while ago now, right? Season 1, I think, was in 2019 or 20, right?
That's right. It was 2019. And then there was things that happened the following years. So the show, took some time off. There were some movies created in the meantime. And now we've come back to the show, season 2. different network on
Yeah.
Great American Family and Pure Flix and Super Channel. And it's had a very interesting trajectory, but we're happy and excited to be back and for Chris and I to be a part of it now.
Yeah, no kidding. And as you mentioned, a lot of movies, each of you in between probably made half a dozen TV movies, Christmas movies, whole series, right?
Yeah, so Chris and I have been able to work together 4 times in our careers. So that's pretty cool that we're back together.
Yeah, this will be number 5. The previous 4, all standalone films.
Yes.
So this is the first time we get to play the same characters over a long format storytelling arc. And it's the first time that the two of us have been in a period piece together. So it is really exciting to see each other in that different light, but to also feel like we're in good company, safe hands. It's been really great.
Yeah, and when did you guys first meet? Was it on the set of one of these films?
Yeah, we first met just after my son was born.
2015. It was December 2015.
Yeah, so he's
10
9
years
now.
ago.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, we were shooting a movie called A Puppy for Christmas.
Wow.
And and Chris Russell was playing a pretty fun, kind of deadbeat boyfriend, soon to be ex-boyfriend of mine. And
Yeah.
along really well. And then we didn't reconnect until February 2020.
Yeah.
When we got a movie together. And yeah, and then, just kind of everything clicked and we've been in each other's worlds ever since.
Yeah.
That's great. We'll be back after this short break with Cindy Busby and Christopher Russell. What's new this month on Paramount Plus? Well, first up, dive into the intricate web of a powerful crime family in the Paramount Plus original series, Mobland from Guy Ritchie. Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, and Joanne Froggatt all star. In mid-April, catch the premiere of The Carters, Hurts to Love You. This 2-part documentary looks back at teen heartthrobs Nick and Aaron Carter. Their story is told by Aaron's twin sister, Angel, who unpacks the complicated family dynamics that led to the untimely death of 3 of the original 5 Carter kids, as well as their father. Speaking of music documentaries, Paramount Plus has the season 2 premiere of Family Legacy, which offers a peek inside the lives of influential musicians and bands through the lens of their close family members. This season features interviews with relatives of Busta Rhymes, Lil Wayne, Rob Thomas, Daddy Yankee, Lil Jon, and more. There's not little about this month on Paramount Plus. There's lots for the entire family. Check it out. Here they are again, Cindy and Christopher. You come from different parts of Canada, right? Cindy, you're from Montreal, and Christopher, Toronto, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I was really surprised when I read that When Hope Calls. I had just assumed at first it was shot in Langley, BC, where When Calls the Heart is shot. It's got that standing set and everything. So I was pretty surprised that this series was shot up near Sudbury, I think, Algonquin area, right?
Powassan, actually, which is near North Bay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it has its own unique scenery. Quite a bit. I mean, similar to When Calls the Heart, but also BC and Ontario are drastically different. So
Right,
it definitely
yeah.
it has its own feel within that world.
Like, I was on I was on that set the first season, that field where When Calls the Heart was way back when that started. And that was all constructed in a farm field. Did they actually have some sort of a pioneer village in Powassan? Was something there already, or did it have to be all built for the show?
They built it for the show, so
Wow.
it's a sanding set. It lives there, and yeah, it's in a field on some farmland as well, and it's actually in a really beautiful location,
Hmm.
just surrounded by all of this forest, and throughout the season as we were shooting, which was in fall of last year,
Hmm.
we just got to see all of the leaves change colors,
Wow.
and it was absolutely stunning. And in that regards, it just makes shooting on the east coast of Ontario just being very very magical in that way, because the seasons are so prominent in places like Ontario and Quebec and stuff.
It's true. The last couple of years, in particular, I've noticed. I live in Orangeville, which is a couple hours south of there, and the leaves have been spectacular the last few falls. So you must have
Stunning.
really enjoyed that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm curious where when you both got the acting bug. Cindy, I believe you went to Dawson College in Montreal.
I did.
Uh,
Yeah.
is that where you first were you already in school plays or things before that? When did you get the
Oh yeah. I truly am a person that was just born, I think, born knowing that I was going to be an actor. There was never another thing I ever spoke about.
wow?
I grew up in a family. My father was obsessed with movies. He always had the biggest movie collection of anyone I knew, like
Wow.
500 VHS tapes, and then it became DVDs and that whole thing. And so we grew up watching movies all the time, to the point where I would like memorize the lines in the movies and say them with the characters. And then when plays entered my world in like elementary school, I started doing that, and then high school, and I just knew I wanted to be an actor, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. And then I auditioned for the professional theater program at Dawson College, got in, and then that's during that time I got my first agent, got my first role, and things just happened somehow.
That's great.
Yeah, it was great.
There's certainly been some celebrated alumni and people who've gone on to great acting careers
Yes.
from there. So good for you, Christopher. What's your story?
It's pretty similar to Cindy's, at least in the beginning. My earliest memory of wanting to do this was when I was in my preschool's nativity scene, and I played the coveted role of the donkey. Um,
Funny.
but I just remember when we did
Wow.
I really remember when we did the perform. I couldn't have been older than 3. We
Um,
did the performance for all the parents, and I don't know what it was about it, but I just felt, I don't know. I don't want to say so alive, but that's the only word that's coming to mind.
yeah.
And then from then on, I was always saying, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be an actor. And I think my parents just thought, he'll get over it. He'll get a real job one day. But I would constantly beg them to let me audition for community theater. Anything that was happening at my school, I would audition for. I would be a part of anything I could. I went to theater camp. For years, I went to theater camp.
Wow.
I don't know if you remember George Bell, the baseball player.
Of
I went
course.
to theater camp with his son. I
Wow.
just, it's just
Awesome.
all about
George
it.
George Bell, the great Dominican, hit I don't know
Yeah.
47 home runs one year or something. It's a
Yeah, it
wow.
goes way
Pretty
back.
cool.
So then, when I got older, like the end of high school, after having done a lot of plays in high school, I went to Humber College Film and Television Program for 5 minutes. I booked a one-line speaking role in a show and said, I don't need to go to school anymore. I quit. Look at me. I'm a working actor. And then I didn't work
Nice.
again for like a year. So I thought I better reconsider this. So I studied at the Professional Actors Lab for a long time. And I guess just through perseverance, just kept going. I couldn't do anything else. This is all I've ever wanted to do. So,
well, good for you. Even if you'd been at Humber for 10 minutes, it still would have taken a year, probably, right? I mean,
yeah.
I grew up in Etobicoke on the West End in Toronto. Whereabouts in Toronto are you from?
Hyde Park and Bloor.
Oh my God!
So
Okay.
not too far from you.
Not too far at all. Good for you. What high school?
Well, I went to high school in Georgetown, Ontario.
Oh, okay. I lived in Brampton till last year, so I know exactly where that is.
And you mentioned Orangeville too. Have you been to Greystones yet?
It's hilarious that you ask. My wife and I moved here about a year ago. She knows this area, so we're booked in there her birthday in May. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Make sure you let the maitre d' Ben know that you spoke to me, because that's my brother.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, okay. That's his restaurant.
That is hilarious. Well, I definitely will tell him that. Thanks, Christopher. I might get an extra salad or something, right?
You'll get something.
That's great. We'll be back with more of the stars of When Hope Calls in just a moment. Time once again to check in with Emily Gagne to see what's new on Hollywood Suite. Emily, what do you got?
Well, this month, Bill, we've got a new episode of Cinema A to Z, which is our original series. And the topic this time is acting debuts.
Acting. So these are the first films of some famous stars. Go ahead and quiz me. Throw a name at me, see if I can get the film.
How about Barbra Streisand?
Oh, that's The Mirror Has Two Noses. Is that
no.
It's Funny Girl.
Yes, okay. A little further back.
All right. Okay. Well, that sounds pretty good. What else do you have coming up this month?
Well, we've got National Canadian Film Day, April 16th. So we've got Canadian films all day. But if you are in more of a, funny mood, it's April Fool's Day. We've got our LOL collection, got comedies from throughout cinematic history, everything from, The 7-Year Itch to Caddyshack to Liar Liar to The Nice Guys, which I think is an underrated comedy.
Oh, that's a funny film. Well, that sounds great. Looks like a good time to laugh in Canada on Hollywood Suite. Thanks very much, Emily.
Thank you, Bill.
Decider calls it a pulse-pounding restaurant drama that's a British cousin of The Bear. And Rotten Tomatoes, which they do not cook with in this show, says it's a culinary drama with palpable tension simmering beneath the surface. They're talking about Boiling Point, a 5-part BBC Studios production based on the BAFTA award-winning film of the same name. Set in London, Vinette Robinson stars as the head chef leading a new crew in one of the city's latest big-money, high-pressure restaurants. Compelling, intense, and very complicated. That's Boiling Point, premiering exclusively in Canada March 13th on Super Channel Fuse.
And we're back. So both of you were really into this as young, and you've got long careers with tremendous credits. It must surprise you at this stage. Do you ever look at your IMDb's and go, how the hell did I end up with 50, 60 credits, right? Both of you.
I can honestly say a part of me truly is like, yeah, we knew we were going to do this. And then there's also a part of me that's also like, how did this even happen? Like, you're like a girl from a small town outside of Montreal with parents who know nothing about the industry, don't know, and how did you even get a part, let alone 60 parts or whatever?
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful every day. And I never take anything for granted. And I know that, this industry is not an easy one. And I don't know how it happened, but I'm just extremely grateful for it. And I just make sure to always share that with everyone. It's how grateful I am, and to treat everyone along the way as I would like to be treated, which is all, it's important.
Were there mentors along the way, Cindy? I noticed. I mean, you're working with Wendy Crewson and folks in this show. Pretty exciting. But who inspired you when you were a young actress?
Oh, I just had a lot of. I would say I had a lot of teachers that really inspired me. The late Jacqueline McClintock was a teacher of mine after I finished theater school. She taught Meisner in Montreal. She's since passed.
Wow.
But gosh, she just made me fall in love with being an actor all over again. And yeah, I think just everyone I work with inspires me. Anytime I get to share a scene with someone, I feel excited all over again, of like, wow, I'm here, I'm doing this. We're like being together in this scene. And I feel like I constantly learn from everyone that I work with.
Awesome. Well, I'm getting messages to wrap up. So just two quick questions. Christopher, you're playing a mountie. This seems like a cool time to be playing a mountie in Canada. We're at a different time in history, aren't we? Putting on that red tunic. Do you what's it? Just tell me a bit about being that role right now.
Well, from the beginning, it was a dream come true. I am a first generation Canadian, so I have that classic immigrant parent story. But I am a very proud Canadian and always have been. And to be able to represent that in, the physical form as well as on screen, it's been a real blessing.
I bet it has. It's cool watching both of you. I don't know if there's that great old carriage that is in the scene, the first episode I shot, and those things can be pretty bumpy and stuff. Have you guys ridden in that? The old stagecoach.
Yeah, it's very bumpy, and it makes you realize people used to travel across America in those things. I don't know how they did that and how they didn't have, barf bags in there or something.
Maybe they did.
Maybe they did, but wow, that is truly quite the feat to have done. Whereas on set, we ride in it for about 10 seconds.
10 seconds too long.
Well, that's cool.
That's right.
Then quickly, you mentioned your dad was a great collector, is a great collector of films, Cindy, but both of you have done Christmas movies. Could you name a favorite classic Christmas film that you've always cherished?
For me, it's A Christmas Story.
Oh, great. A good Canadian film too, right? Pretty well. It was the Canadian director anyway, I believe. Yeah, that's a good one. How about you, Christopher?
I have to say Home Alone. I mean,
that's great.
There's just something like the music in it and everything. It always brings back memories. It's tied with the original cartoon Grinch, I would say.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then just
those two.
Quickly, if you a message to the fans, the hopefuls, right, who are big fans of the series, what should they expect that might be different from the first season of When Hope Calls?
Well, you're going to see some new faces.
Right.
You're going to have some new action. You're going to have some new romance. And you're going to have some new comedic moments. And it's definitely going to be similar in the sense that it's still going to have that heartwarming, family-oriented storyline. And it's just going to make you feel good.
Yes.
That sums it up, right? Okay, well, thank you both very much for the time. Congratulations. April 6th on both Great American Family and Super Channel Heart and Home. I'm off to Greystones. And remember, when in Orangeville, eat at Greystones. Thanks again for that, Christopher. But good luck to both of you, and wonderful talking to you now. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, thanks for joining us once again to this podcast all about the new series When Hope Calls. It reminds me of when I first started out covering television. I was down on a press tour in Los Angeles. This is a long time ago, 40 years nearly. And It was at the Century Plaza, and I was very excited because one of the people who was there promoting the new season that year was supposed to be Bob Hope, the legendary comedian. Brandon Tartikoff, who was head of NBC and a legend himself in terms of television, he was at the dais. He was introducing, and then he had to break the news that Bob Hope would not be joining us, that he wasn't feeling well. He was under the weather, but he held up a phone, believe it or not, back then, to a microphone. He said, but I have Bob on the phone. And Hope got on so we could hear him say things like, well, my writers are working on new coughs, like it was kind of corny. But to me, that was When Hope Calls. Okay, I don't know. A long way to get to that one. Anyway, thank you again to Cindy and Christopher for a fun conversation. And Chris, glad we worked in that. Shout out to your brother's Elegant Eatery. That's Greystone's Restaurant and Lounge, 63 Broadway, Orangeville. Open Tuesdays through Sundays. Tell them Christopher sent you. Thanks as always to Phil Hong, who produces and serves each and every one of these delectable episodes with a side dish of word salad. Give it up as well for the band Crispy Critters, especially BJ Del Conte and Paul Boudra, featuring the late great Stephen Dudley on the keys. And finally, thanks to you, listener. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word. I'm Bill Brio. Thanks for listening.